When you suddenly go quiet on a woman, something interesting happens. It doesn't matter if you were just texting every day or spending real time together, that sudden silence hits differently. For her, it's not just about you disappearing, it's about what that silence means. And believe it or not, it triggers a reaction that is deeply rooted in how female psychology works. You might think she's just moving, that she won't notice, but in many cases, the opposite is true. When a man stops talking to a woman out of nowhere, her mind doesn't go blank. It starts racing. She starts asking questions, not out loud, but in her head. What happened? Did she do something wrong? Was he serious about her? Is he trying to play games? This isn't about mind games or manipulation. It's about understanding human behavior. A woman's reaction to a man going silent reveals a lot about her interest, her mindset, and even how she views the connection, whether she was fully invested or just mildly curious. The way she reacts can tell you more than any conversation ever could. Now, this doesn't mean every woman will react the same way. Some will pull back, some will reach out, some might even get emotional or angry, but all of those responses are signs. They show you where she really stands, and that's what makes this topic important. When you go quiet, it creates space, and how she fills that space tells you everything. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're breaking down what really goes on in a woman's mind when you suddenly stop talking to her. We're going to explore the psychology behind her reactions, the signals to watch for, and how this one move can reveal way more than most guys realize. Let's get into it. She notices fast. She notices fast. When you stop talking to a woman, she notices. And it usually happens quicker than you might think. Even if she's not texting you every hour or acting super interested, the moment your presence drops off, she picks up on it. It's not always about what you say or do. Sometimes it's the silence that gets the loudest reaction. Women are more tuned into emotional shifts than most men realize. If you've been talking regularly, whether it's casual texting, deep conversations, a Revan light flirting, and then suddenly anything, that change doesn't just get noticed, it hits a nerve. She may not say anything right away, but she feels it. Imagine this. You've been chatting with her for a week or two. The vibe's been good. Nothing too serious, but there's been a flow. You're consistent, maybe even playful. She's replying, maybe not always with long messages, but she's responding. Then one day you just stop. No warning, no explanation. You're ages gone. At first, she might think you're busy. Maybe you'll text later. A few hours pass, still nothing. Then a day goes by. That's when her mind starts working overtime. Not because she's severely attached, but because something has changed. And people, especially women, pay attention to changes in behavior. This doesn't mean she's desperate or obsessed. It means she's aware. When you stop talking, it creates a gap. That gap makes her curious, maybe a little confused. She starts replaying your last conversation. Did she say something wrong? Did you lose interest? Was she not giving enough? All thoughts of questions start stacking up. And they all come from one thing, you going silent. The crazy part is, even if she wasn't fully invested, your silence still has an effect. Why? Because we're wired to notice when someone who gave you attention suddenly pulls back. It's not about love or obsession. It's about psychology. We notice absence. And when a man stops talking, that absence sends a message, even if he didn't mean to send one. In today's world, where everyone's glued to their phones, silence stands out even more. People are used to constant contact. So when that suddenly disappears, it doesn't feel normal. It feels like a signal. And for her, that signal gets processed fast. She might not show it. She might even act like she doesn't care. But inside, she's clocked the silence, and now she's watching. That's how quickly the shift happens. It doesn't take days or weeks. Sometimes it only takes a few hours. Once she realizes you're not responding, something clicks. She notices. Her ego takes a hit. Her ego takes a hit. When you stop talking to a woman, one of the first things that gets affected is her ego. This isn't about being arrogant or self-absorbed. It's just human nature. People like to feel wanted, desired, or at least acknowledged. And when that stops, it feels like rejection. Even if nothing was ever official between you, most women are used to being pursued. They're used to guys texting first, checking in, keeping the conversation going. So when a man who was doing that suddenly stops, it doesn't just go noticed, it hits a personal nerve. Her first thought might not be sadness or confusion. It might just be, wait, what? It's a hit to her pride. The attention you were giving her played a role in how she felt about herself. It's not everything, but it adds to the feeling that she's attractive or interesting. So when that attention dispers, it can make her question what changed. Even if she wasn't fully into you, the fact that you were into her gave her a kind of confidence. When that disappears, it stings a little. This is especially true if she thought she had the upper hand. Maybe she thought you were more into her than she was into you. Maybe she figured you'd always be the one reaching out. The moment you stop, the power dynamic shifts, and that doesn't sit well with her ego. Now, this doesn't mean she's a bad person or overly self-centered. It just means she's human. Nobody likes to feel replaced or ignored. And when a man who showed interest suddenly disappears, it triggers that feeling, whether she wants to admit it or not. Even women hooked, confident, and independent can feel sting. Again, it's not about being weak. It's about how people react to changes in attention. When you stop talking, it feels like you're withdrawing approval or interest that can create a mix of emotions, confusion, annoyance, curiosity, sometimes even frustration. And this is where things start to shift. Her reaction isn't always about you. Sometimes it's about her trying to protect her self-image. She might think, why isn't he reaching out? Or I thought I had him figured out. That uncertainty chips away at that picture she had in her head. It's not just about the messages you're not sending. It's about the message that silence sends to her. The ego doesn't like to be challenged. So when your silence makes her feel like she's not in control of the situation, she feels it, and that feeling can lead to all kinds of reactions later on. Some subtle, some obvious, but they all start from that first hit to her pride. The power shift begins. The power shift begins. When you stop talking to a woman, the power and dynamic starts to shift. It doesn't matter if things were casual or serious. The balance changes the moment you go silent. And here's why that matters. In most situations, especially early on, women are the ones being pursued. Guys are usually the ones putting in more effort, sending messages first, trying to keep the connection going. That gives her a certain level of control. She's used to setting the pace, deciding how much she wants to give back, and knowing that you'll likely be there waiting on her next move. But when you suddenly stop talking, that pattern breaks. You're no longer following her lead. You've taken a step back, and that simple shift changes the whole dynamic. Nosha's not sure what's going on. She's not sure if you're losing interest, moving on, or just doing your own thing. That uncertainty puts her in a different position. Whether she realizes it or not, she starts reacting to your move. Up to that point, you may have been reacting to her when she replied, how often she messaged, the tone she used, but now she's responding to you. And that flips the balance. This doesn't mean you're trying to play games or manipulate the situation. It's not about trying to get control. It's just the natural result of changing your behavior. When you stop putting in effort, the energy of the interaction shifts. She either leans in to figure out what happened or she pulls back. Either way, she's now responding to you, not the other way around. That shift can be powerful if you understand what it means. It gives you space to actually see how she feels about the connection. Does she care that you're not talking? Does she make an effort to check in? Or does she just move on like nothing happened? Her response during this power shift tells you a lot. What's important is not to misuse it. This isn't about ignoring someone just to get a reaction. It's about recognizing that silence creates space. And in that space, real intentions start to show. You don't need to overthink it or try to force anything. Just let the shift happen and watch what comes next. When the roles change, people reveal more of their real selves. You've stopped talking. Now she decides how she wants to respond. That's where the truth usually starts to come out. And that's where you start to see the situation more clearly. She starts testing you. When you stop talking to a woman, don't be surprised if she starts testing you. This isn't always a conscious decision. Sometimes, it just happens naturally. The shift in energy makes her wonder what's going on. And instead of coming out and asking, she might throw little tests your way to see how you'll react. These tests are usually about control and clarity. She wants to know if you're still interested. If you're doing this on purpose, or if she still has ascertained effect on you. Most women won't come out and say this directly. Instead, they'll do things that are meant to get your attention or provoke a response. One way this shows up is through sudden changes in how she communicates. Maybe she starts posting more on social media, liking your old posts, or sending you a random message just to check the temperature. Other times, she might act distant or cold if you do reach out, trying to make you wonder what her deal is. These aren't accidents. There's small ways of testing where you stand. The reason behind this is simple. When Eamon goes quiet, it leaves questions. And instead of asking those questions out loud, many women will test the situation. They want to see if you'll chase, if you'll explain yourself, or if you're actually serious about pulling back. These moves aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they're subtle, and that's what makes them easy to miss. But there's the thing. If you react to every little test, you give the power right back. You undo the silence that made her curious in the first place. That doesn't mean you should ignore her or play hard to get. It just means you should be aware of what's happening and not jump to respond emotionally. Staying grounded is key. If she's testing you, it usually means she noticed the change. And if she noticed, that's already a sign she was paying attention. Don't let the test throw you off. She's trying to figure out if you're serious, if you're still hooked, or if she still has control off dynamic. The best way to handle these moments is by not overreacting. Keep your energy calm. Don't rush to explain yourself or fall back into the same old pattern. Let things unfold naturally. If she's really interested, she eventually drop the tests and start being more direct. When a woman tests you after you go quiet, it's not always about drama or games. Sometimes it's just her way of making sense of the situation. The key is to recognize it for what it is and not get pulled into something that throws off your balance. Stay consistent with your energy and you'll see what's real and what's just noise. Mixed signals start showing. 5. Mixed signals start showing. When you suddenly stop talking to a woman, one thing that often shows up is mixed signals. You might notice her doing or saying things that don't quite match up. 1 minute she seems interested. The next she's distant. She might watch your stories or like your posts, but ignore your messages. Or she might act cold in person, but then message you late at night. This back and forth can feel confusing, but it's actually pretty common in situations like this. Silence you create puts her in a position where she's not sure how to respond. She's feeling something, but she's not always ready to show it directly. That's when the mixed signals come in. It's her way of staying present without giving too much away. Sometimes it's because she doesn't want to seem too eager. Other times it's because she's unsure how she really feels or how you feel. You might have been messaging regularly, even if it wasn't anything serious. Then you stop reaching out. She notices. A few days go by and she randomly sends you a meme or reacts to your post. That's her way of testing few orders without fully jumping back in. After you reply, she doesn't say anything for hours or days. That push and pull is a mixed signal. She's not sure if she wants to open up or hold back. Sometimes people send mixed signals because they're feeling two things at once. She might miss your attention but still feel a little annoyed that you stopped talking. She might want you to chase her, but also want to keep her pride. That inner conflict shows up in how she acts. The important thing is to not get caught up trying to decode every move. Mixed signals are a sign that she's reacting to your silence, but it also shows she's not clear on what she wants to do about it. If you chase after her too quickly, you'll take away the pressure that created their action. If you completely ignore her, she might think you've moved on. The key is to stay steady and not let the back and forth shake you. Mixed signals can also be a defense mechanism. She might want to protect herself from looking vulnerable. Instead of saying, "I'm talking to you," she sends a message that doesn't mean much on the surface. but underneath it, there's a reason she reached out at all. When you see those mixed signals, understand that they're usually coming from uncertainty. Your silence has disrupted the pattern. Nosha's caught between wanting to reach out and wanting to stay in control. The tension plays out in her actions. The more you stay grounded and clear on your own side, the more her behavior will eventually show where she really stands. She might chase you, she might chase you. When you stop talking to a woman, there's always a chance she start chasing you. This doesn't mean she go full force or make some dramatic move. Sometimes the chase is subtle. It could be a small message, a random check-in, or her showing up in places she knows you'll see her. But make no mistake, if she felt a real connection, or was even justice to your attention, the silence can trigger a response where she starts butting. In effort, this happens more often than you'd think. When a man pulls back, it shifts the focus. You're no longer the one reaching out or trying to maintain the vibe. She feels that gap, and for a lot of women, that's when curiosity and interest turn into action. They start to wonder why you're not talking. Then they start trying to fix that silence. Not always directly, but in their own way. The chase doesn't always look obvious. It's not about grand gestures. Sometimes it's her being a little more active online, replying to your stories or dropping a message to fill out your mood. Other times, she might try to create small excuses like asking something she already knows the answer to. These are signs that she's trying to reopen that line of communication without being too upfront about it. Now here's where a lot of guys slip up. The moment she reaches out, they jump right back in full speed. They pick up the conversation exactly where it left off. And while it might feel good to see her making a move, reacting too fast kills the shift that made her start chasing in the first place. You don't need to ignore her or play games. Just don't rush to fall back into the same rhythm. Let her show consistent interest before you fully engage. When a woman starts chasing, it often means she sees value in your presence. Your silence created a contrast. It made her realize that your attention wasn't guaranteed. That species what sparked her effort. And effort is something that tells you a lot more than words ever will. It's also important to understand that not every woman will chase. Some won't. That doesn't mean your silence didn't have an impact. It just means her pride, mindset, or circumstances kept her from acting on it. But when she does chase, you get a clear window into how much checkered, or at least how much your absence affected her. The chase isn't about stroking your ego. It's about balance. You were giving effort, then y'all stopped. If she values that connection, she tried to meet you halfway. And when that happens, you get to see who's really interested, not just in attention, but in you. Not all reactions are what they seem. Not all reactions are what they seem. When you stop talking to a woman, it's easy to overthink every little reaction she gives you. One day, she seems distant. The next day, she drops a message. Then she goes quiet again. You might start analyzing her behavior, trying to figure out what it all means, but here's the truth. Not every reaction is what it looks like on the surface. Some women react emotionally. Some react with silence. Others react by acting like nothing ever happened, but that doesn't always mean they don't care. And it also doesn't mean they're playing some master game. People respond to situations in different ways. And if you're not paying attention, you might misread the whole thing. This is where men need to be honest with themselves. Sometimes you're not pulling back to create space. You're pulling back hoping she'll come running. And when shadows in, you feel confused or frustrated. That's not clarity. That's just you trying to control the outcome instead of watching her every move. Ask yourself why you stopped talking in the first place. Were you genuinely giving space? Were you tired of putting in all effort? Or were you just hoping she'd suddenly change and start chasing you? Being honest with yourself here matters because your reason will shape how you react to her response. Or lack of phone. If she doesn't respond at all, that's still a response. It might mean she's not that into you. Or maybe she's guarding her pride. Either way, chasing her down for closure or clarity usually backfires. Let her response or silence speak for itself. At the same time, don't assume every reaction means she's deeply affected. Just because she views your story or sends a random message Always means she wants you back. Sometimes people act out of habit, boredom, or curiosity. Don't confuse the attention with intention. This is the point where a lot of guys need to level up. You can't always wait around hoping someone else makes the next move. You get to pay attention, but you also have to keep moving forward. If she's interested, her actions will show it over time. If she's not, your energy is better spent somewhere else. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to code mixed messages. But in the end, actions speak, and your own mindset matters just as much. Use that silence in it just to see what she do, but to check where you stand. Are you chasing validation, or are you standing on real self-respect? So here's the takeaway. Her reaction might not always be what you expect. It might not even make sense. Don't sit there waiting for a perfect sign. Read the energy. Stay grounded and stay focused on your own standard. Not every response needs your reaction. Sometimes silence gives you more answers than a long conversation ever could. Summary: when you stop talking to a woman, you didn't just disappear from her phone. You shift the entire dynamic. It creates space. And in that space, her real thoughts and feelings start to surface. How she reacts tells you more than words ever could. Whether she pulls back, starts testing, sends mixed signals, or even begins chasing. It all reveals where she stands and how much she values your presence. Here's something most men didn't realize. Sometimes your silence teaches her more than your words ever did. And if you're paying attention, it can teach you a lot too about her. A booth situation, and about how you've been showing up. But don't get it twisted. This isn't about playing games or using insolence as a trick. It's about stepping back, getting clear, and letting her show you who she is when you stop doing the work. Not every woman will react same. Some won't react at all, and that's your answer right there. I want to hear from you. Have you ever gone excellent on a woman and seen a shift? Did you pull away, chase, or show a side you didn't expect? Drop your experience in the comments. I'll be reading and replying. Let's talk about it. At the end of the day, the goal isn't to win her over. It's to understand who's really showing up. When you stop talking, sometimes that silence is exactly what you need to see things clearly.